I took someone's virginity, and I feel guilty about it. It was the last year of my college, and I was having a good time. I was banging a bunch of chicks left and right, and I felt like I was on top of the world. I was meeting these girls at parties or via online dating apps, and it was to the point where I had a different girl in my bedroom for the 4 consecutive nights in a row. We start watching one of those YouTube video essays, and let's just say she didn't really want to watch that at the moment. I lean in to kiss her, and we get intimate. However, she says she is a virgin, and that I was her first kiss on the lips. I ignore this, and I start thinking with my manhood and how I can smash this girl. We get on the bed, and I remove her top, and I start getting busy. However, I try to put it in, but it gets soft, and I can't get it hard. It goes in slightly, but I guess the girl's inexperience was a major turnoff. She puts her clothes back on, and she says she needs to get home. The week after, I go on winter break, and I'm wondering if I should text this girl again, as she has ghosted me.
People who grew up filthy rich. What did you think was normal till you learned otherwise? My mom, a teacher at a prestigious private school, was the reason my brother and I could attend there. It was a world apart from our reality. Most kids there had parents who were doctors or lawyers, with ample money to spend on school trips and luxuries. But our reality was different. As a single mom, my mother had moved us to a trailer park for its affordability. We often didn't know when our next meal would be. I remember a day in school during lunch when the stark contrast of our worlds became evident. All I had was a peanut butter sandwich and a small bag of pretzels. A classmate, noticing my meager meal, commented on my apparent lack of hunger. At 6 years old, unaware of the economic disparities, I innocently told him that we simply didn't have more food. It took a few explanations before he understood. In a moment of empathy, he offered me an orange and a bag of Cheetos. That simple act of kindness sparked a friendship that has lasted over 20 years now. Divorced men? What moment made you say, I am filing for a divorce? After 15 years of marriage, I was completely blindsided when I found texts on my wife's phone revealing she was cheating. I couldn't believe it. She seemed incapable of such betrayal. Despite her pleading and promises it was just texting, I couldn't shake the feeling. My suspicions deepened when I found emails with explicit details that sickened me. Then, I learned she was visiting a client from her nursing service, assuring me she was done with it and still loved me, but I couldn't believe her anymore. One night, she claimed she was going out with a work friend and promised to be home early. Suspicious, I checked Google Latitude and saw her real location. To prevent myself from doing anything rash, I called my best friend and her father. He stayed with our kids while I left to confront the situation. Around 3 a.m., she texted me, angrily questioning my whereabouts. I replied with a screenshot of her GPS location and a message that she would soon receive some paperwork. People who grew up filthy rich. What did you think was normal till you learned otherwise? My mom, a teacher at a prestigious private school, was the reason my brother and I could attend there. It was a world apart from our reality. Most kids there had parents who were doctors or lawyers, with ample money to spend on school trips and luxuries. But our reality was different. As a single mom, my mother had moved us to a trailer park for its affordability. We often didn't know when our next meal would be. I remember a day in school during lunch when the stark contrast of our worlds became evident. All I had was a peanut butter sandwich and a small bag of pretzels. A classmate, noticing my meager meal, commented on my apparent lack of hunger. At 6 years old, unaware of the economic disparities, I innocently told him that we simply didn't have more food. It took a few explanations before he understood. In a moment of empathy, he offered me an orange and a bag of Cheetos. That simple act of kindness sparked a friendship that has lasted over 20 years now. What is the dumbest thing you got punished for in school? I was once given detention just for watching 3 kids play tag in the playground. Apparently, it was against the rules, and the teacher mistakenly thought I was part of the game. There I was, just eating my sandwich, and next thing I know, I'm sitting on a log for the entire recess. Another time, I got in trouble for working ahead in my textbook. I was always a chapter ahead because everyone else read too slowly, and it bored me. My curiosity turned into a punishment. At 12, I fell seriously ill and was out of school for 3 months. When I returned, I was on a part-time schedule because I'd get exhausted easily and had lost a lot of weight. But believe it or not, I got in trouble for not participating in cross-country running. It was absurd, especially since a girl with a broken leg got the same punishment. And once, I received a detention for supposedly cheating on a test. My crime? Scoring too high. I didn't cheat, I just studied hard. Lastly, I remember getting a lunchtime detention for writing too large on the whiteboard. Seems like in school, you could get punished for just about anything. What is the best random conversation you overheard? I was in a Nordstrom dressing room when I overheard something unforgettable. A girl was panicking in the next stall, trapped in a dress and asking for help. She requested I find her boyfriend. Spotting him easily, I guided him to her stall. Through the walls, I could sense her distress over her weight and the dress not fitting. Suddenly, it sounded like he knelt down and said, "Sweet, beautiful love of mine, will you let me love every inch of you until I die? I don't have a ring yet, but let's choose one together now. I've been wanting to ask you. The girl's laughter filled the room. Why are you laughing? He asked, puzzled. I tried on a junior-sized dress by mistake, she explained, still chuckling. Then her voice softened. And yes, of course, I'll marry you. But you'll have to do this whole knee thing again when we actually have the ring, okay?
Teens of Reddit, what did you do that caused you to get kicked out of your parents' house? It was senior year of high school, and I had just turned 18. It was just another day when my girlfriend called me suddenly during the night. I picked up the phone, and she was crying and sobbing. I didn't know what was happening, and I said, "Is everything okay?" She takes a while to get herself collected, and then says that she is pregnant. Now, I don't know what to say, and my mind starts going in circles. I was so tired that I passed out, and the next morning, I wake up hoping it was just a dream, but it was not. And when I see her at high school, she starts complaining that I hung up on her. Anyways, when my mom picks me up from school, I try to tell her about it without directly mentioning that my girlfriend is pregnant. She suspects that something is up, and she tells me if I'm hiding something from her. I stutter, but the wrong words slip out of my mouth. Part 2. In comment, what's the fastest way you've ever wiped the smirk off someone's face? My stepfather relished making my life miserable. One method was to interrupt my dishwashing, plunge his hand into the water, and yell, "This dishwater is ice cold. You can't clean dishes in cold water. Now empty this, make hot dishwater, and wash them all again." His actions, regardless of the water's temperature, often left me in tears or feeling defeated, as he would smirk triumphantly and exit the kitchen. One evening, I'd had enough. I boiled a stock pot of water, mixed it with dish soap in the sink, and pretended to wash dishes. Hearing him approach, I stepped aside to give him access. He thrust his hand into the scalding water, withdrawing it instantly. Silently, he looked at me with a blend of hatred and respect, then left the kitchen without a word. That was the last time he ever checked the temperature of my dishwater. What's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a friend's house that they thought was normal? As a child, after my father passed away, my mother remarried and had 2 more children. At age 10, I was relocated to the basement, an unfinished space. I didn't question it then. My area was separated from the laundry section by a simple sheet. The basement had concrete walls, exposed wood beams, pipes along the ceiling, and a cement floor. To combat the cold and humidity, I used a heater and a dehumidifier. When it was on, my parents would enclose my bed with a sheet to retain warmth. My parents never allowed friends over, and my siblings weren't permitted in my room. Distant relatives also didn't stay with us, and during family gatherings, I was instructed to use the guest room instead. I naively enjoyed the privacy and space, thinking no one could disturb it. Strangely, from age 12 to 18, my family vacationed annually without me, leaving me as the caretaker for the house and dog. At 17, during one of these vacations, I invited a friend over. They were taken aback by the stark contrast in living conditions. My siblings had fully furnished bedrooms with TVs, as did the guest room, yet I lived parents who have nanny cams. What have you caught your babysitter doing? I remember installing a nanny cam when our child was young. Once, while watching the footage, I saw our babysitter, Ms. Yancey, break down in tears after serving lunch to my child. It turns out her father had passed away a month earlier. It was heartwarming to see my child give her a comforting hug. I often think of Ms. Yancey and hope she's doing well. Another memorable moment was when I asked our child, now older, to dog sit for our friends. They had a motion-activated security camera by their front door. After they returned from their trip, everything seemed normal, and our child was paid for the job. A few weeks later, during a dinner with these friends, we all burst into laughter watching a video from their camera. It showed our child with a most joyful grin playing a hilarious game of chase with the 2 huskies, running back and forth in the hallway. This playful moment, caught on camera, was a delightful surprise. Ever since, our child has been more than happy to dog sit for them whenever needed.